Kaji Sergio Rancher Mendara Dalajin Jinda, Dingin Ruj, Mumbasa Zesa, Nebelunum kind. Consider Nepal Zero Rub the Gaver, Bazimba Kaimba, and the Damja Tarba Tambego, to be sungin in Dirshe, Ladalam, Mimji, Wombodan, Jajin Los Suji Chola Chawajaban. Sangi Sungra of the Jijin, David Jurujurba, Tedashi, Tambe Chenin, and Dirshe, Kanda Chuchu Tongi, Dena, the Julamarjur, Kansuda. Dengder temperature charbabjin yambarde ba thamje derje namo lai ke dan lo dan jinge dubum dan mi chenam to gunji danam jizambar thamje ke do thage ch then do palden zawela marumbo je dage chore payment de kadin jembe gunne je sonde ku sondu je ngodup saldo so thabge tuje shaje rezu dron jinjim du je pungjom ba serju lumbo tabru jibe go shaje jebe shabla chasal Shadon College Jabon Chendon Kabo Sampo Sangi Don Kangla Kanti Tela Terdem Batsumba Cheres la Chatsalo Seche Jawa Tamji Shipumbu Chik de Basichi Kunji Paljo Jambe and la Chasal Kanji Tony Shinje Panya Lason Dawan Tony Chojir Jerjebo Doji Chan la Chatsalo Korwala do Tarema Totara Jigedu Torena Namdrol Domayam la Chasal Sheja Tamji Zibe Jamba Dugunjele Jube to Jejin Summit till it's a bit on Jungle Measure Blogo Chans saw Depsolama Kinseva Jesus Sunshilama Chinseva Shinshi Lapshilama Chinseva Tingmin Kaulama Kinseva Sulder Zigdan Lama Kinseva Tukji Lama Chinseva Cheno Lama Chinse di Cheno Chinlap Terchin Daniel Lama Jambal di Cheno Choku Taulo Ningi Korlo Namsam Kangi Chakdang so Nisem Tache Tambe Meba Tegun Gumbe Suzuchi Jesu tu Namdar Sabjin Jache Tala Nyerzol Zu Yapjing Nile Lashen Tala Rewa Machi Kalngenda Ninsen Kundu Jamyan Kube Samjan Cheji Tukje Shu Chungse Menya Menja Surungi Rangi Nyebe Lebe Se Tadung Kunye Major Pardo Chapshen Solwar Major Chik Ho Jiyo Jen of Jang Sampema Gazar Dombola Yanzen Chogi Ngudumni Pemanjum Shesutra Kordu Kandro Mambo Gorkigi Jesu Tadupji Shinjil Lopjire Sheksu Sol Guru Pema Sidi Hong Kusum Lama Sujedu Tala Chodomon Jengodup Saldo So Ujirum Bujela Zo and them Kajim Barjim Mejun Shitunchen Samba Drubad Chodon Tumon Udrup Saldo So Yeah, Lasso. So happy to see you again. Chonam Tamji Chen in the Dumbetsela Raptone, as Siddhartha Gautama had said, that all phenomena follow causes and conditions, and amongst all the causes and conditions, intention is supreme, motivation is supreme. And so our gathering here, what kind of result it will bring entirely depends upon our motivation. As a speaker, the sole motivation of a Dharma teacher should be to bring benefit. As the fifth Dalai Lama wrote in his Lamrim, that as a speaker, as a teacher, the only thing one should be concerned with is, am I saying something that is beneficial? Am I saying something that is according to Dharma, that is going to help others? And also, as seekers, practitioners, listeners, our motivation should be transformation. Transforming our mind, that should be the only motivation. Of course, that can mean so many things. You can have motivation hoping, thinking that the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, Shakyamuni Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, all these great beings, these great masters, as you can see, there is like they are gathered here to make your present life better, to make you calm, gentler, more sincere, more tolerable, happy. Surely Dharma can also do that, because Dharma deals with the reality of things and what can make us more happy than actually knowing what is going on and what to do about it. But as a practitioner of Dharma, as someone who is on the path, then our motivation is to really transform our mind and to really truly experience a refuge in Dharma. You can take refuge to the idea of Dharma. What is Dharma? The teaching taught by the Buddha. But that's not really truly Dharma. That's just a description of Dharma. So Dharma is the quality that is there in an awakened mind. Shakyamuni Buddha's compassion, his wisdom, his patience, tolerance, generosity, discipline, his meditation, that is Dharma. And so words just describe this ultimate Dharma. And words just describe a path, a means through which we can reach to such an ultimate Dharma. And so the moment you experience genuine devotion, the moment you experience renunciation, the moment you experience kindness, compassion, sense of sincerity towards oneself and others, then Dharma is now taking birth within us. That is the true Dharma, because that is what can protect us, our own compassion, our own generosity and devotion and so on. And so for us, Dharma practitioners, those who consider themselves Dharma practitioners, those who consider themselves to be on the path, then our motivation is to seek transformation. To transform our mind. And just like yesterday, I would like to request you to try and sit straight and bring to your mind the ultimate teacher, Siddhartha Gautama, Shakyamuni Buddha, seated under the Bodhi tree with his right hand touching the ground and his left hand in meditation posture, his gaze fixed on you. This visualization is remembering, recollecting the time when Siddhartha Gautama, after countless and countless of years, finally attained full awakening. That evening, one evening, he found the Bodhi tree and made this decision that he is not going to move from under the tree, either he dies or he gains full awakening. That evening, it is said that Siddhartha Gautama destroyed the Mara, and right about midnight, the Bodhisattva mind entered into the final samadhi of Bodhisattva. And just as the light of dawn spread through the forest of Gaia, wisdom permeated his entire being. And so when we bring to our mind this kind of image, this kind of visualization, the time is that of a dawn. In the sutras, in the Mahayana Sutra, this kind of visualization, this kind of meditation is praised to be the highest practice of Bodhisattva. It is called the Samadhi of Bodhisattvas. Buddha have again and again stressed that sons and daughters of noble family in future, when or if they could bring their mind to the enlightened image of the Buddha, sleeping, walking, sitting, during his birth, during his renunciation, during his full awakening, during his turning the wheel of Dharma, and his Mahaparinirvana. All of these are called recollection of the Buddha. So this is what I would like to request you to do, is to just sit in front of this fully awakened being and be aware of the existence of such a being in front of you. You may look at his face, you may look at his robe, his hands, you may circumambulate in your mind, you may make prostrations in your mind, make offerings and ask questions. All of those all of that is the visualization, the recollection of Buddha, Buddha Anusmriti. Please. Thank you so much. That kind of thought, that kind of visualization, practice, meditation has the if words of Buddhas are to be trusted. He said hundreds and thousands of lifetimes worth of negative karma can be removed with a mere thought of an awakened being, with an awareness of an awakened being. And he even went on to say that even if monk or a nun who have committed a rude downfall, so ordinarily, according to the lower vehicle, when that happens, you can no longer remain a monk or a nun. You're done. Killing, lying to have spiritual power, or spiritual attainment, sexual misconduct, like these kind of things. When a monk or a nun commits, they lose their vow. But in this sutra, Buddha says even that, if they repent, if they have regret, and they for 49 days continuously, every day make offering to the Buddha and bring the appearance of the Buddha, existence of Buddha to their mind, one pointedly, he said that their vows will be revived. So for Mahayana practitioner, wishing to see the Buddha, wishing to meet the Buddha, wishing to hear Dharma directly from the Buddha, wishing to be able to hold the teachings of the Buddhas of 3 times, especially Siddhartha Gautama, is one of the most important practice. It's apparent if you look into the sutras, if you look into prayers such as the King of Aspirations. It's all about that. So, like I said, Dharma is just everything has to do with transforming the mind, transformation of the mind. All of these images here, it has but one job: to transform our mind. These colors, these scriptures. Even when you make prostration, it's not a traditional thing to do. It wasn't a Tibetan tradition to make prostrations and do this, touching the 3 places. Very sort of simple function of making prostration is to let go of pride. We have to let go of pride. That's why we make prostration. You make prostration 100,000 times. Or else if you make prostrations, let's say you're doing Namdrol and you're just counting, accumulating count, that's not training the mind. That's not bringing transformation. That's just doing something fast so that you can get to the next thing. Whereas if you do prostration with such a motivation, and regardless whatever you do, or making offering, or meditating, or practicing discipline, whatever you do, it has to bring transformation in our mind. We have to be aware what is happening. We cannot just do things and hope it will work out. That's why we are stuck in this state right now. I don't know about you, but myself, I just hope everything will be okay. Every time I hear something bad, I think this will definitely not happen to me. Every time I hear teachers scold, I feel like, oh, that's not for me, that's for other people. Always deflecting, always just hoping that it will just work out by itself. Dharma practice, I don't think it is like that. It really has to do with transformation, and transformation, for that to happen, you have to know your mind. You have to know your weakness and you have to know your strength. The topic is Bardo. It's such a, just like yesterday, it's such a large topic. And so many teachings are available on this topic, but I guess we should hear these things again and again and again. And Dharma teachings, it obviously it's not like reading a storybook. Like a novel or a storybook, you just read it once, then it's done. You know what's happening. You know what happens. That is the entire purpose of it. It is, you're not seeking to transform yourself, transform your mind. It's just for entertainment purpose. And sometimes I feel that's what happens. As listeners, we end up always trying to opt for something different. And we say things like, oh, so they're teaching shamatha. I already went to a shamatha retreat 3 years ago. That's And so also as a speaker, the danger is you want to say something different. You want to say something different. I have to fight with this. I have this urge every time. I must say something different. I must say something interesting. And that's the motivation. I think there's something wrong with motivation. Deep within, true renunciation hasn't taken root. Whereas greatest instructions that I have ever received from my teachers, so many teachers, I've been so fortunate to meet so many really genuine teachers, are the simplest words. Very simple words. They're not burdened with this kind of, I must say something interesting. Tsechen Rinpoche, I met him once. Tsechen Rinpoche, such a Tsechen. He's famous. He's famous to be very, very like a yogi, like a true yogi. His instruction, but he just said, so we asked for instruction, like special. We think we get something special. He just said, all of this, you look like this, all of this is appearance. This is what it did. While it appears, it's empty. While it's empty, it appears. That's it. And it just made so much impact on us, because when he said that with so much conviction, you cannot help but really be swept away by that. And that is true. For a moment or two, the way we look at things sort of change. Yes, so Bardo. Talking about Bardo. Bardo, it's a Tibetan term. The teaching of Bardo is so vast that you have teachings of Bardo in Abhidharma for the, let's say, the Sravakas and the Theravada tradition. They also have teachings of Bardo. What happens when you die, the intermediate state, right? That's what it means. Bardo, Parmato, in between. That's what it means. In between. Anything that is in between, that's Bardo. From a very fundamental teachings of Buddha, then Bardo only refers to between the end of this life and the beginning of next life. Or maybe this is easier to understand. Bardo is the mental deconstruction of this life, and then reconstruction or construction of a next life. So very simple. That's very physical deconstruction is and construct. That's easy. That's visible. Now many of us, we have witnessed death. We may have even seen someone die. It's palpable. It's visible. It's there. It's right here. It's not. You cannot deny it. But then the teaching of Bardo is that you do not just die suddenly and then immediately you're born somewhere. Not all the time. Most of the time there is a gap. There is a gap, and there is a lot of happening due to your karma, due to your so many causes. There is a slow forgetting of things of this life, and then taking on new habits of next life. For example, no. In the Abhidharma they say, generally, this is not like a rule that everybody stays in this state for 49 days. But in general, we do not stay longer than 49 days in Bardo. But there could be some people who just cannot let go, whose attachment is just too strong, that they remain in this state for years and years, for aeons, they say. So that's something else. But generally 49 days. And during the half of that duration is this, with each passing day, less and less. You have, that you are like a wave. You build something on a beach. Sometimes the wave comes with this, sand. It sort of washes away. Not everything, just like the top of it, and it's outer layer, and then it comes again and wipes like that. With each passing day, you forget things. Less and less and less. And at some point, you may not even remember what was your name, what your name was. And then, let's say, this is what Khyentse Rinpoche says, let's say you are going to be reborn as a bird in your next life. And then, sometime in between, your perception begin to change. You no longer have the perception that you want to walk. And when you think of insects, you might begin to get hungry, feel hungry, and even physical appearance too might change. Bardo is not necessarily have to be like this though. There was a Chinese man who kept his left hand hidden his whole life. Only his parents and family had seen it. He never showed it to anybody. He kept to himself all throughout his life. One day, when he was old, he invited a monk to a restaurant to have a tea. And made offering, and he had a request that there was something that he wanted to tell, a burden that he's been carrying. And he showed his hand to the monk, just to the monk. It looked like a pig's, what do you call it? Knuckles. Pig's knuckles. And he told the monk, this is in the book written by Khenpo Tsutum Lodro of Serta. The name of the book is establishing life after death. Establishing life after death. So he recounts all these things. Anyway, so I say this story because it gives such a vivid description of Bardo. So he said that he remembered past life he was a butcher and he used to slaughter a lot of pigs behind his house. And his children, nobody liked it. He kept saying there's so much negative karma. He didn't really care so much. Just as he was about to die, his son ran and brought a monk. And this monk told him, you must, you have done. You have heavy negative karma. You must try and purify. It's too late. And so the monk said, just put your hands together and say, I take refuge in Buddha, I take refuge in Dharma, like that. And he did that. He could barely lift one hand. He did that with one hand. Then he said, he was suddenly naked and just running across valleys, and it was raining, cold and dark. The only thing he could see was far away there was a wooden cabin, and the light was shining through the window. Obviously, you're going to run to that, and so he ran to that, went inside. It was dry and warm, and there were some jackets on the wall, and he picked a brown jacket, sort of brownish jacket, and he wore it, and it was so warm and cozy. He fell asleep, and he woke up. He was a piglet. He was a piglet, but he remembered himself, as a human, and all that has happened. And so he said he kept on crying. His heart was completely broken. And in despair, he kept crying, and he just died of hunger hunger. And his next rebirth was with his hand like this, with a pig. Anyway, so that was him in Bardo. That was the Bardo appearance. And that going into that wooden cabin and wearing that jacket was him entering his mother's womb, this pig's womb. So Bardo's appearance, it's not apparent also though. Just like in this life, when no one tells you, you don't know anything. So you're sort of dazed, you're new, you don't know where to go, what is direction, what is good, what is bad, what is... Similarly in Bardo, first of all, you don't even remember that you are dead. You don't even know that you are dead, or you forget again and again. That's one of the biggest problem in Bardo, is that not knowing what is happening. And even when you do know, you might enter a womb of a cow thinking it's a palace. This has happened in the biography of Dupa Kunle. There was a monk who was so learned, always ready to debate. He's a really great scholar. He died. He was always against sort of arguing with Dupa Kunle. But Dupa Kunle, due to his compassion, wanted to help him. So he tried to look. Dupa Kunle is a great yogi, a realized being. So he looked for this monk, this great scholar who just died. And he found him in Bardo. He was in haste, he was in great mood. About to go into a palace. Sharyakang palace. Beautiful house. So much light and music. And he stopped him. Don't go. That's you're going to take rebirth as a cow if you do that for your neighbor's cow. And even that he used debate language. You know, when monks debate, they do this. They throw reasoning. It's like sound is sound is impermanent because it is compounded like that, you know, arguing. So he argued it is not animal rebirth because it's a palace. And so when his students went to him asking for rebirth, Tubokule said, there, that calf, that's your teacher. The rebirth of your teacher. So Bardo appearances, one might think, oh, it's very clear when you're in Bardo, when you're going to be a human, you know you're going to be a human or animal. Not at all. So that being said, Bardo is considered like a like one of the most important time, one of the greatest chance for awakening. And because just for the simple fact that mind is no longer bound by a physical form, you do not see from eyes. Seeing from eyes is so restricting. You can only see. Whereas the Bardo being, it's the mind that experiences objects directly. Also, Buddha said that the mind, for example, our awakened state, you know, however your mind is, the dream state, during the dream experience, your mind is 7 times sharper because it no longer depends on physical form, physical faculties, your eyes, nose, ears, tongue. And then the Bardo state, the Bardo mind is said to be 7 times sharper than that of the dream state. So if you can, there is so much power, there's so much potential to harness during the Bardo state. If someone could meditate, if someone could remember the nature of mind or any reality, any whatever name you use for reality, Buddha, nature, emptiness, it is said that it's very likely that then at that very moment you will gain high realization. Even if you would just remember the Buddha, the Nirmanakaya of the Buddha will appear in front of you. There is no longer this barrier of faculties. But Bardo being's mind is also fast, very swift. Since they no longer have a body, nothing weighs them down. So any thought, whatever thought, for example, if I'm a Bardo being right now, I might think of India, and suddenly I'm in India. I might think of somewhere else, and suddenly I'm somewhere else. And I've forgotten everything that had happened before. There's no longer a physical form to retain memory. So, anyway, I just wanted to jump into this. So that kind of state is called Bardo. What I have just said is this is the most common teaching of Bardo. Very, very common, general. And so what do you do during Bardo state? What was the problem? right? Not even realizing that you are dead. Most of the time, these Bardo beings, they see us, and they do not remember that they have died. They do not know that they have died. Just like when we are dreaming, you do not know you are dreaming. You are so convinced that it is true. Or now, we do not know that this is exactly like a dream. Dream. When you are dreaming, where do you come from? Where will you go? None of those concern. You're suddenly somewhere halfway through a meal. Like that. Life is also a bit like that. It's not dream, but it is dream-like. While I am here, we have a shared perception of things. The moment we are removed from this due to death or whatever, that perception is gone. Dream-like. So one of the biggest problems is not even knowing that you have died. And then to remedy that, while we are awake, sort of alive, we try and remember impermanence again and again. We try and contemplate on death, not in a very sort of hopeless way that, oh, we must die, but as a simple fact that has to happen, that has happened countless of times already before, and probably many, many times again. And it is something that is a shared experience of all beings. We all must die. And also learning about Bardo. What is Bardo? What happens during Bardo? That's why there is a text called Liberation Through Hearing, Bardo Tudrol. And it is suggested that it should be heard once before you die, at least once. You should hear about it, or you should listen to it at least once. If you would have listened to it once when you are alive, and when you are in Bardo state, someone read it again for you, the mind being extremely, extremely potent, strong, and sharp, it will remember it. It will no longer be like like meeting an old friend. It will be like that. Then another instruction for Bardo is, one big problem in Bardo is, even if you remember, or even if you know that you have died, this is the afterlife. Due to fear, first of all, immense sense of loss, terrible sense of loss, that overcomes us. And then loneliness, that overcomes us. And so, even if you are a practitioner, if you haven't trained, even if you are a Dharma follower, if you haven't trained, you will not even remember to think about Buddha, like a nightmare or in a dream, in your dream, when you're dreaming something. How many times when something goes wrong, you resort to taking refuge, thinking about Buddha, calling to your guru, your protectors? Very seldom, very, very rare. Even in this awakened state, last night I had a nightmare of sorts about my daughter, my younger daughter. So I woke up with such sadness. To this morning, my mood was terrible. It took me about a half a day to actually remember, wait, this is impermanent. This is what it is. This is dreamlike. So then to expect yourself just to remember your practices, your whatever mantra you're reciting, it's very unlikely. So then, according to, for example, in the Lamde tradition, the advice is to, while you're awake, while you're alive, again and again and again, to remember your guru, remember the Buddha. If you're not on Vajrayana, that's fine. Just remember the Buddha, remember the reality of things, remember kindness, compassion. And those are the things that will protect us in Bardo, guide us to a higher rebirth. Remembering Amitabha is another very, very simple yet important instruction. While you are alive, to remember Buddha Amitabha again and again and again. Or remembering bodhicitta. When you're alive, while you're alive, to remind yourself again and again, you are a bodhisattva. Your motivation is liberation of all beings, regardless of your situation. This is so temporary. On the scale of infinity, what happens 1 year, 2 years, 30, 40, 50, 80 years is nothing but a spark, but a blip. That is this very important instruction for Bardo. Then another important instruction for Bardo teaching is making purification now, so that there will be no obstacles in Bardo. Making purification. Even if you offered one lamp, even if you give one sort of wrinkly dollar to a homeless person, to dedicate that merit for purification of obscuration of oneself and others, being one pointed in that direction. Since today we are talking about Bardo, and if you are someone who thinks about that, if you are someone who worries about that, what will happen to me? What will happen to me when such a time will come? And that time will come. Death will come. It's inevitable. So, whatever purification, accumulation that one can do, it's all then dedicated towards that. So this much is the advice usually when you ask for Bardo advice. That is the advice. Before we go any deeper, do you have questions? Or else I have no idea what you're thinking. I have no idea what I should even say or not say. Please.
So when you said at the beginning to focus on Buddha, and then you said, like, think of Buddha, think of Shakyamuni, does it have to be the Buddha? Could it be green tar? Like, if you feel an affinity to another emanation or deity, is that okay, or does it need to be Buddha?
No. Buddha in any form.
Okay.
Guru Rinpoche, all of this. Shakyamuni, because I really like Shakyamuni. That's why I keep saying Shakyamuni. But that's my sort of liking. This is because when we call upon these awakened beings, so the logic is that these awakened beings are in front of us all the time, in front of sentient beings, all sentient beings. It's just that due to our obscurations, we do not see them due to our faculties, limitation of our faculties. And so when you're dead, when you die, when you're in Bardo, and when they appear, it's that simple to meet them, and then receive teachings and get blessings and so on. That's actually, at least that is the hope that will happen, you know. Even greater would be if you remember bodhicitta. Now that one, just remembering Buddha, that was like just the lowest of the bar now. If you remember bodhicitta, start reciting like, let's say you're a practitioner, every day you're reciting, for the sake of liberation of all sentient beings, I must gain full awakening. If you are someone who do that, if you do that in Bardo, that's then, yeah, that's something else. Yes, please.
Thank you, Doc. I had an experience where my partner and I were watching a movie at the drive-in recently on Friday the 13th. You know Friday the 13th? It's like super.
The horror movie.
Yeah, and we were watching a Beetlejuice, you know.
Oh.
And so we drove home very late because it goes for like 4 hours, because 2 movies they play, and 2 scary movies. And then we drove home, and I live way, way on the mountain. And I got home, and I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I have to do the protector chants before I have to offer tea before I go to bed. And so we're doing it, and then I realized I'm sitting there, and she's sitting there, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm alive. It was the strangest feeling. It felt like maybe I had died, and then my spirit just wandered home and decided to do protector chants. And I absolutely was not sure if I was just a spirit or I was just coming home. So I thought, oh, what a good idea to do protector chants, because I don't know if I'm alive.
Yeah.
And so then we both faithfully, really could feel it, you know, real faithfully did the protector chants, and we felt good. And they said, well, we'll go to sleep and we'll see how we wake up.
Yeah.
And so how I felt when I woke up was that maybe like this life is like a dream. And then when you wake up, or death or anything like that, then you remember your awakened state. And you remember that life just like a dream, like, oh wow, I was just dreaming. You know, so it felt like that, and I thought, I don't know if there's any commentary on that sort of subset of experience.
Yeah. First of all, that's good that happens. Sometimes when you tire yourself, when you get tired, and you have to merit, beliefs of these lives weakens once in a while. There was a Tsechen teacher whose student keep asking for pointing out instruction. He didn't really say anything for years, and one day he made him carry a huge, heavy load up a mountain, and then let go of that load. When he let go, and he was so tired to just think anything, he's just so tired. That's when the teacher said, "Oh, look at that! Look at your mind." There is sometimes the facade is not perfect. There is something missing. And then you have a glimpse like that. Now, yes, life is like a dream. This life really is like a dream. Where is yesterday? Where is a year ago? Where is this morning? Where is the beginning of this talk? Where is the 10 minutes ago? Where is the time where is you asking the question? Where is me beginning to give you the answer? It's just held by memory, Sometimes we are really just an idea of ourselves, just a gathering of lot of thoughts and feelings and experience, and just this jumble of things, barely hanging together. But then I don't think you wake up to another reality. You may experience, just like in a dream, when we're dreaming, and you wake up, you think people think this is real, we are convinced this is real. But similarly, when life ends, and then everything comes to an end, nears to an end, no longer makes sense. But then there's another dream beginning. So you wake up from a dream to dream something else. So that is actually now the higher teaching of Bardo, which is all of this is Bardo. Being born is Bardo, living is Bardo, dreaming is Bardo, the awakened state is Bardo, dying is Bardo, and obviously Bardo is Bardo. That as higher the teaching goes, then the gap between two thoughts, that is also Bardo. Gap between two breathing is Bardo. Gap between you and me is Bardo. So then everything becomes Bardo. You cannot move without a gap. Gap is the space to move. That is Bardo. Anyway, yes, please.
You said that when you're in the Bardo, you no longer have a physical form that can retain memory.
Yeah.
So what is it that can realize that you should be thinking about bodhicitta?
Habit of the mind. Mind is still there. I guess we have to say mind is still there. So the habit carries on. One great Tibetan master called Sakya Pandita, he said, how does a newborn child knows that it must suck on its mother's nipple? Just it puts it in the mouth and it just knows how to suck. He says that's the habit. That's the habit of countless of beginningless time of being born and having done the same thing again and again.
But isn't habit based on memory?
Not necessarily. Isn't it that even when someone has lost their memory, who don't know, but they still have the habit. They still might do things like the same music they used to, and then it brings back the memory, right? This is, it's a really big topic what you just raised, actually.
I was actually interested in almost the same thing that Ellen had said, but I was just wondering, because I'm not as familiar philosophically, but so does the mind at that point in the Bardo, or within, let's say, the construct of a certain amount of weeks and association of a past life and then looking forward to a future life, but how is that memory, or where is the consciousness, and what is the alaya vijnana? Is it something individual?
Bardo appearance, many times it sounds like it's not a shared experience, but you experience, only you why? Because no longer depending on faculties. When you depend on faculties based on light and all that, so you can kind of say we see the same thing. See the same, you can kind of say that. But now we know scientifically, even according to Buddhist logic, you can never see the same thing. Right? Just that. That being said, the Bardo being, for example, when you're dreaming, you see the person lying here. Is the mind going somewhere? It's like a base, sort of instinctively we think, not really, the person is just dreaming, not really going anywhere, not really coming from anywhere, it's just dreaming, going through experiences. Same when you take substance and you hallucinate, and you may go on journeys, mountain, river, but are you really going somewhere? Is your mind going somewhere? Or is the mind just going through experiences? More in the sense that the perception experiences is passing in front of the mind. That is what is going from present to past. The mind just... Okay. Yet, for that person, they are going. They're really going. They're really doing. When you're dreaming, you're really doing. Even now, when I think about the nightmare about my daughter last night, it's painful. It's so painful. I know it's fake, but so although there is really like nowhere to go, like Bardo, there is no place called Bardo. It's sort of, you die and then someone says, hey, come here, let's go to the next journey. Although the person may experience that, just as if someone is dreaming or hallucinating or this life, they may experience going, coming. Bardo beings also experience physical form. They think they have a body, and they see, like, if I die, most likely that I will sort of see my body like this. Although very strangely, there was whose biography was it? I think Kimpu, that when the master passed away, another master sort of thought I should assist them, and he saw that this teacher who had died was a girl in the Bardo, because of like 10-20 lives ago was the girl, and after death suddenly that experience, that habit awakened, and he became a little girl in Bardo. So you never know. There is really no guarantee. Buddha said again, this is just for information purpose. No guarantee this will happen like that. But so you ask, where is the mind? Where could it be? Where is your mind now? So now, okay, let's go to then the real teaching of Bardo, so to speak. You have studied, some of you have studied Vajrayana. Some of you have heard things like everything is creation of mind. Everything is creation of mind. If you have studied 37 practices of bodhisattva, I don't know if you have, there is not Vajrayana, it's Mahayana mind training, Lojong, but even there you come across stanzas that say Jitarnawa dida rangi sem ni döne turbe tadang dal, meaning whatever appearance is mind itself, whatever appearing is the mind itself. Mind is from beginningless of time, is unborn, is nowhere. So simple analysis. We think there are objects around us. Matter of fact, That is the proof of existence. This is real. Do you see it? Do you see it? I see it. So this is real. If only I see it and you don't see it, there's a problem. And it has to, I see it today, and I do this. I see right now this table, and I do this, and I look, it vanished. Again, another problem. It must continue. So these are the ways we convince ourselves that it is all real. Let me think of a simple logic, a reasoning. I cannot think of a simple reason, so I use the difficult one. We think all of this is really there. A table, for example, it's a simple phenomenon. A table, the moment I say table, you saw a table in your mind. Is it red, is it yellow, or is it just the idea of table? It doesn't matter, it's already there, complete. That kind of mind is creating this table, convincing you that there is a table really truly existing. And so the meditator looks into it. Where is this table? It is the legs, it is the upper part or lower part, inside, backside. You do not find something called table. It's a mere idea of gathering of things. Label, names, ideas, the giving to gathering of things. And everything is like that. In the teachings, this kind of analysis, this kind of mental deconstruction, you continue until you no longer know what to do. The table is made up of so many things. Also my habit that this is a table. If I would be what is that?
Earthworm.
Raupa,
Oh,
caterpillar.
Which one?
If I would be a caterpillar or earthworm, there is no table. What is a table? It doesn't exist for me. So it's a mental construct. And then when you really, if you know this, the analysis could go on and on and on until the smallest of particle, and even that is analyzed. And so the meditator no longer knows what to grasp. What is this? What is anything without names? What is anything without names and language and label, expectations and experience? What would be there in this world if mind is removed? What would exist? What would not exist? What would be distance? What would be? All have no meaning. If in Santa Fe someone is stealing dogs, I don't know, someone is stealing dogs. Maybe it's too much. I don't want to hurt feelings. Someone is stealing milk from people's homes. They wake up, all of the milk's gone. And he is there. Every time someone has lost milk, milk is stolen, somehow he is there around the house, sort of hanging around. Everywhere, without fail, every time that happens, he is there. So the logical conclusion is, he has something to do with it. He is the thief. This is how these teachers understand. Every time there is a phenomena, mind is there. First of all, phenomena, when you look for them, you don't find it anywhere. In the Pramana, Buddhist reasoning, the argument is you can never see anything outside. You can never do that. Why? Because, for example, this cup. Me seeing this cup is result of this cup. Me seeing this cup, it is red and all that, is a result of this cup. And the result and its cause cannot be together. The cause must come first and then the result. So what it means is that the cup that I see right now is no longer there. Very similar to when we look into the sky, we now know that most of those stars are not there anymore. They're gone and destroyed, whatever. But because that much duration, the light has taken to travel, we see it now. Very similar, exactly the same logic, but much faster is this. And in this way, this reasoning of cause and effect, what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, it's all your own mind. Okay. Anyway, there are countless of reasonings for this argument why everything is a creation of your mind, from a simple, very simple reasoning to there is no such thing as a beauty. There is no such thing as a happiness. What's happiness to you is sadness to someone else. This is very, very simple reasoning to very complex ideas of how we were discussing when such analysis of things. If they are there, someone should find it. Now, when you no longer find it, yet you keep seeing it, yet you keep experiencing it, so then you are the creator. Your mind is the creator. Not willingly. It's just what it does. That's all. Out of habit again. When that is kind of established, so then mind becomes the center of all things. This mind, our mind, your mind. It is your mind that have created the Buddha. It is your mind that has created us, each one of us. So many minds working together. Our perception clashing. Some of the things we experience together, some of things we don't. Some of you are utterly bored of what I'm saying. Some of you are thinking, maybe this guy makes, that. But it's happening all the way also together as this big world, what do you call it, jumble of perceptions. Now, if that is so, if mind is the creator of all things, what is mind? And then your question, where is mind? What is its true form, let's say? What is its true form? Because it's also a tricky thing. Sometimes it is happiness, sometimes it is sadness, sometimes it's anger, sometimes just boredom. What is this thing? None of these are its true nature. If anger is the true nature of mind, mind should always be angry whenever you look at it. Just as heat is nature of fire, is to bring heat, warmth. So every time there is fire, it should be warm, right? Or the moisture is nature of water. So every time there is water, it should moisten. So similar to that, all of these experiences, is it mind? Not really. So then the question, what is mind? Or maybe better this one, where is mind? When you ask what is mind, you can kind of, after the sort of stumbling here and there, you get to a point, okay, it is awareness, that's where you get at. It is something that knows, something that can know, something. What is the difference between us and a piece of rock? What is the difference between us and this pen? Well, we assume this has no mind, hence is not aware, whereas we have mind. Those who have mind, they exhibit signs of running towards happiness and trying to avoid suffering. There are signs. So you can kind of get to a state where you may understand it is awareness. That's what it is, the awareness, that's the mind. Now this awareness, where is it? Now you get to the second, okay, you kind of know what is mind, but then where is this mind? Because our rational thinking is this again. If it exists, it has to be somewhere. Right? You cannot just say there is something somewhere. No, there is something. People will ask you, where is it? That's the first instinct, that's the first step of reasoning. So, where is the mind? When you understand what is the mind, you understand that it has no form, no shape, no color, no taste. It's not a. All of those things are qualities of solid phenomena. So then where is this mind? Experientially we think inside us is the mind. Where is my mind? Obviously it is very stupid to say it is hovering around me, because my experience is from inside to outside. I see from inside to outside. I hear from inside to outside. All that, So it's a kind of a good thinking that it's in my body, mind is in my body, but where? And then the teacher says, how can something that has no form be anywhere? To be somewhere, you must have a form. To be somewhere, you must occupy a space. You must occupy a space. That which cannot take up space, how can it be anywhere? How can it be inside you and not outside? How can it have this distinction of inside and outside? And then when I'm sitting here, is my mind sitting here? And the moment I walk, is it walking with me? When that. Not being able to point out where it is, while it itself is looking where it is. That's the beauty of mind, what they call the nature of mind. It's nowhere, yet it is experienced all the time. It's experienced all the time. Anyway, so in this kind of teaching, now going back to Bardo, this kind of teaching now, which is really our blood, our heart, and kidney and everything of Dharma. Then, yesterday, today, tomorrow, what is it? It's just appearance. Mind going through appearance. Does the mind go somewhere? It doesn't have to. The perception will change and give the impression of traveling through time, through space, all that. Through experiences. And so, last life, this life and next life, all of this is about experience of mind. As if mind doesn't move, it's in its seat. Everything else pass through it, sort of in front of it. In that kind of teaching, there is no, someone is not really going from this life in the Bardo to the next life. And if you can remember this in Bardo, what we are discussing now, mind, it's very, the very material of it, the very heart of it, the nucleus of it, if you can remember that, then it is said it can bring instantaneous liberation. Even during the time of death, before Bardo, forget about Bardo, during the time of death, due to when we enter our mother's womb, the scriptures tell us that in the beginning it's just no thought. And so we, an inexperienced being who've never known the reality of things, never experienced, so learned or been taught about the reality of things, just experience things that they have fainted or they have no experience of what just happened. And then slowly, as the body, our body begins to slowly form in the mother's womb, thoughts begin to rise in the mind. And the more complete the body, more thoughts and experience, so much input. And so during the time of death, when all of that sort of door begins to shut down, your eyes do not function anymore, your nose do not function anymore, your tongue, your body, the source of conceptualizing, the source of planning, perceptions is less and less and less, and right at the moment when the separation, not a separation, but the separation of the tie, there was like this being tied, the karma, that's what it is, the karma that ties consciousness and this body, who have nothing to do with each other, but is tied. Consciousness, this formless thing is tied to this form by karma, and that is exhausted, is called death. And during that time, mind is left alone, and it goes back into its true form, mere awareness. And that is also supposed to be one very important opportunity for practice. Or else in Bardo, when appearances of Bardo begins to arise, someone, a skilled meditator who have practiced, who have reminded themselves again and again, this is all creation of my mind, by habit and through merit and blessing, that's what they will do in Bardo. And as a sign, while you are alive, you begin to do that. Obviously you begin to do that in this life, awakened state, when things go wrong, whatever happens, you go back to that state. Oh, this is all mental this is all perceptions of my mind. And then one of these days this will happen in dream, and that is a good sign. When that happens in dream, you are dreaming. Well, when it happens, it's easy to happen when you are having a nightmare. This is so easy, anyone can have this. But during dream, you realize this is a dream. It's all merely creation of my mind. It's not a real thing. Tulku Rinpoche says it's easy for this experience to arise when something goes wrong, like a nightmare, because mind begins to look for answer frantically. But very, very difficult when you have a beautiful dream, everything is fine. And then if you can think of your guru, and then if you can think this is mere perception, this is, that, he said, you should take as a sign that there is a good chance that in Bardo you will remember all this. Anyway, talk about Bardo is just a never-ending thing.
I know we're going to bring it to a close, but there's so many different kinds of questions. So, like, those whom you have known, with whom you have been familiar during the course of your life, and I don't mean our teachers, I just mean our family members, friends, whatever, then at the time of their passing, in the same way that, like, we may have met each other, and at the time we meet each other, we think, that person, they seem so familiar to me, or whatever. It seems so simplistic to say, but meeting others in future lives, or they've passed away, but at the same time, there's still some kind of connectivity, the consciousnesses.
You mean
Recognition
when we
or something.
meet someone and feels familiar, is it due to past
Yes.
life?
Yes.
Surely. Surely. It is the cruelest thing. Memory, not remembering. Even in this very lifetime, we don't remember a lot of things. And so we do a lot of things that brings us pain. One of the important aspiration of bodhisattvas is to always remember past lives. Always remember past lives. And the king of aspiration is there. In all my lives, may I remember my past lives. This is because...
And may I be rejoined with our... And may we be rejoined, we say in the prayer, with others in the Samantabhadra aspiration.
Oh, may we
be
meet
rejoined
others.
Those in like mind and
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah. And may we never forget bodhicitta. It's like all of these are future proofing. Oh, good inshallah. All of these are future proofing. So good inshallah. If you have questions, please feel free to raise. Or else I will. I would like to read a quote from my teacher's book that he wrote. The names of his books are interesting, our teacher. Only recently I thought about, one by one I have thought they were weird, but I didn't. First book he wrote is What Makes You Not a Buddhist. Then the second book he wrote is Not for Happiness. It just gets more and more, what do you call it, disenchanted. Yeah. Third one he wrote is Living is Dying. So Living is Dying is a book about just this, what I've been saying, in much more detail, and you can really get it. It's really one of a kind. How to live, how to die, what to do when someone dies. Bardo beings can hear your thoughts, not hear, but they just know your thoughts. And so again, this is also again another reason why it's considered to be very sort of important state, this Bardo being. Because many of us, while we're alive and awake, things do not penetrate us. We talk about this, but we haven't really remembered Bardo or experienced it. So it's also, there's a lot of belief and all that. But when you are in Bardo, you no longer no need to believe, it's happening to you. So then the mind is more susceptible, they're more ready to listen to advices. I will read the advices that Rinpoche here wrote. But if it is too much, in case it's too much, basically just this. You take the name of the person who have died with love and compassion, care. Bodhicitta, you call upon them, you take their name, and until you feel that they're there. You can feel when someone is there. And then you basically tell them, you are dead, you are in Bardo. And then, no, this is really how it is in the text. You ask them, look at your body, see, look down, there is no shadow. You have no longer any, your body does not cast any shadow. Look up, there is no sun or moon. Think of some place and you will be there suddenly. You will have no recollection of where did I come from. You are just there. So anyway, so in this, and also look now, you no longer have barrier of language. You just know what is being communicated to you. So in this way or many ways, to introduce them, this is Bardo, you are dead. To repeat it again and again and again, and then say things like, now is the time when things are apparent to you. It's no longer something that might be true or not. It is something that you're experiencing right now. And if they are a practitioner, then you can say, yes, remember your practice, remember your guru, remember that. If they are not, then yes, please think about the Buddha, a fully awakened being. And think about Dharma, think about Sangha. Dharma Sangha may be difficult for someone who doesn't know anything. So to mere fact, think about the Buddha. You may even have an image of Buddha with you. And so like that, that's very, very simple way of doing things. But that's something you can all do, we can all do. This is a bit specific what he's saying here, but I thought it's good to read it. This is from the book Living is Dying. The infinite rainbow-like colors and shapes that now surround you are unlike anything you have ever seen before. The blueness of the blue, the greenness of the green, the redness of the red are unimaginably intense and alive. Because you are no longer limited by the filter of your eyes, you are able to perceive all the unnamed colors that were invisible to you while you were alive. Om Mani Padme Hum. You can see some familiar shapes like squares, triangles, and some semicircles, but most are completely unfamiliar to you. You never imagined that such shapes exist. Om Mani Padme Hum. Everything feels intense and raw because you no longer perceive using the filters of your body's sense organs or your imagination. There is nothing between you and the object you are experiencing. Om Mani Padme Hum. Do not be afraid of the colors and shapes or of how intensely you perceive them. They are nothing more than the expression of your mind. Nothing you see and experience is out there. It is all the radiant display of mind. Om Mani Padme Hum. Do not be afraid. There is no need to panic. You will now faint. O son or daughter of a noble family. And this is here where you insert their name, if you know their name. This is the Buddha, O son or daughter of a noble family. This is the Buddha, O son or daughter of a noble family. This is the Buddha. Here, then the Buddha is in reference to what we were talking about, what mind is. Om Mani Padme Hum. Do not be afraid, do not contrive. This is the Buddha, this is the real you. You are not, and then you take their name. You are not that person. You are Buddha. Face it. Dwell in your true nature. You are Buddha. Do not shy away from your Buddha nature. This is it. Do not try to run away from this state. Relax and dwell right here. Om Mani Padme Hum. That's it.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Please dedicate the merit for awakening in Bardo or before awakening. Sonam di tamji zibani tamnenye bedanam pamji de chagarna chi balon chubai sipe solen dawar Drawe dungal menchik bu dewa tamji jungwe ne tembanye da kurti dan che de yurun ne jurchi Changjub simcha Rinpoche ma chepa nam chepa na chepa nyamba me baya khone khondu phelwar sho chambal pavi jidara chamba na kundu zangbu tayan teji teda kunji jesu thalub jirgyawa teda tamji rabtu ngo. May I in all my lives carry far the weight of Buddha Dharma, and if I am not capable to do so, may I always be worried about the longevity of Dharma.